Hello, everyone, and welcome to MIT Media Lab. As you can see, when we talk about innovating for billions, we realize that the billions, fortunately or unfortunately, don't live in Boston. They're somewhere else. And to innovate for billions, our director, Joe Ito, talks about how we need to deploy and not just publish or demo. So publish or perish, demo or die, and now it's deploy. And we're taking that mantra and seeing wherever all over the world we can deploy and innovate for the billions, billion-dollar problems that could impact billions of people. Now, for me, that journey started with a project in my group. We saw how can we create medical solutions that reach remote parts of the world. And that was a project called iNetra, which is a snap-on eyepiece, goes on top of a binocular, look through it, click on a few buttons, gives you prescription for your eyeglasses, or measures your cataract. That was a good start to say, hey, listen, how can we impact billions? But I and my team had dozens of other ideas of how we could, take this research out there in the world. And I realized if I do it one master's student, one PhD student at a time, it'll take like 20 years to make that happen. So we took our group here. This is Media Lab. Everybody has amazing tools, really smart people, and we said let's go and deploy that in large scale. So we started a platform called RedX, Rethinking Engineering, Design, and Execution, and started in the city of Hyderabad to see how we can attack a preventable blindness, low vision, and even creating superhuman vision. So really looking at the eye and solving the problems in human vision. So that has been a fantastic journey with a beautiful innovation centers, a lot of employees in that center working and moving forward. And then we have taken that platform to other cities. We went to Mumbai and started a health innovation center that's supported by Wellington Institute and the Tata Center. And then we're looking at things like sleep disorders or hearing challenged and so on. Now, after doing all that, we said, let's go one step beyond that and look at an uncharted territory, which is Kumbha Mela. Now, some of you know I'm from Nasik, and the next Kumbha Mela was taking place in Nasik. And we wanted to see how we can target problems well beyond health in food, transportation, transactions, civic issues, and so on. And I found a really good partner in crime, which is Sunil Khandbahale, who's also from Nasik, and he got a fellowship at Inc. Talks in 2013, exactly 2 years ago to this day, October 3rd week. It was amazing. So Sunil, come on over. And we started with this crazy idea that we can do something for Kumbha Mela. Yeah. What did you think we could do?
Yeah, I think, Ramesh, of course, you remember, we wanted to build upon the local human capital. And the Kumbha Mela was the perfect mix with diversified challenges. And I think over the period of time, it has been evolved in such a way that we are quite optimistic to see it as the next best and unique ecosystem of India. It's like a next Silicon Valley. Right now, we have all the stakeholders like university attached to it. We have government with us. We have local innovators with us. We have capital infrastructure and risk capital. And so this is the right mix. And Ramesh, I'm pretty sure that this can lead to a unique innovation ecosystem and the next promising innovation eco hub of India, and not just India, but for all this emerging world for billions. Yeah.
Okay, please wait here. We're going to get with people. And so we started this challenge called MIT Kumbhathon, and the genesis of that was just a simple Google Doc. We said, let's try to understand what the challenges are, because when we talk to people who have been in Nasik and talked about Kumbha Mela, had very different thoughts. They thought about how to bring a lot of infrastructure and paramedics and so on. And this is about 2 years ago. This is even before a lot of our administrators were already in Nasik. This is before your government was in power in Bombay. And we said, let's start this, kind of a crazy idea. And we got a tremendous response because there was this latent need to do something about the city. So as Pranav said earlier, I think our main task was to just create the culture of innovation. And so we didn't want to do a hackathon or just a brainstorm. We said, let's create a pre-camp at MIT and elsewhere. We started collecting a lot of problem statements. And then we did a camp, we call it Kumbhathon 1, where we selected about 20 projects. And then post-camp, we continued to work with these partners. Every 3 months, we went back to Nashik with a lot of MIT researchers. And this was a constant flow of people from MIT going to Nashik. So those of you who have been to Nashik but are not from Nashik, if you can please stand up. So many of you. Yeah. Anshuman, Pratik, Beth, Teppo, Laura, Bethany, Abhishek, Mrinal, all these people are not from Nashik. They are not even from India, many of them. And they all went to Nashik multiple times. And many of them are, of course, not here in room because they have graduated or they're doing other things by now. But what was really unique about Nashik is that it was teamwork. Here we are with government officials about a year and a half ago, trying to understand what we can do. Here we are with the business leaders, and really thought that this is a relationship that's growing very quickly. It's a city that's very hungry for new type of innovation, as opposed to large metro cities, where people have a very certain notion of what innovation means. And so we looked at many projects, crowd steering by using cell phone tower data, tracking epidemics by using machine learning, new type of pop-up housing that uses really new architectures for providing instant resources for possibly millions of people. And it was actually used by the government as your office, if I remember correctly. The very first pop-up housing that Kumbhathon team built, then 3D maps that were created by our teams that could be used by people who are illiterate, and they were placed all over the city, again in coordination with the administration. Also food logistics, how people are very passionate about donating food, but the logistic has been challenging, so a new software layer has been built. But again, to repeat myself, it's all about building the culture of innovation. I think when we were there 2 years ago, a lot of people would say, oh, Kumbha Mela, 30 million people in 30 days. I'm just going to leave the city and take a vacation. And especially the young people. And I think through our collaboration, I would say we're very proud that we were able to engage hundreds and hundreds of young people and business leaders and educational institutes and government leaders who said, you know what? Let's do something in Nashik. Let's not run away from it. Let's do something for it. And you'll hear about it as the day goes on. So it's just one example of how we were to use the cell phone tower data, which the administration worked very hard to provide us in real time. As far as you know, nowhere in the world cell phone tower data is being provided in real time. It's only post-event. And here you can see these 2 red dots. This is where the actual the river is, where you see the hotspot. But this other red spot is where all the sadhus are, hundreds of thousands of sadhus. And you can see over the day how it's changing. More interestingly, this is the train station out here. And that's another temple called Muktidham right next to it. See, hotspots are getting created. And these are outer parking lots. But here's something that we shared with the administration. Some hotspots are being created in this particular part of the town, which shouldn't. That's because the way the traffic was diverted on that particular day. I remember I myself was stuck here for almost an hour because of particular way. And the administration was very clever. For the next time, they changed the traffic patterns. And we didn't see these hotspots in the second time. So once we got started, kind of dialing back the time, me and Sunil, we were very inspired about it, but we found really great partners to join us. So Sandeep, come on over. So Sandeep Shinde, who was actually still an employee of TCS, it turns out. If I can tell you your story in 30 seconds. Got sick, independent of Kumbha Mela, got sick and got dengue fever, and he was in the hospital. Unfortunately, his wife also got sick. She was in the hospital, and in a very serious state. The story goes on. Both their children also got sick with dengue in the hospital. While they were in the hospital, their house got burglarized. Yeah. And he's still sitting there in the hospital. When some of our colleagues went to meet him, he was in a very, very weak state. And Sandeep, I wasn't there, said, if I come out alive from this fever, I'm going to dedicate everything I can to Kumbhathon. And so since then, he's been with us, and he said, I'm going to quit my job and just do this full time. So tell us, what does Kumbhathon mean to you now that you have actually recovered from dengue fever, and your family has recovered, hopefully your house is in shape, and you have all these collaborators. What does Kumbhathon mean to you going forward?
Yeah, Ramesh, thanks for bringing that story. What Kumbhathon means to me is, it's a collaboration. What I saw in Kumbhathon is a passion. What I saw in Kumbhathon is an impact which we are making in the society. And somebody like, Ashwin Kandoi, he's coming and dedicated his office where we can run the, day-to-day activities. Somebody like Dr. Sachin Patsurkar coming forward and bringing all the ecosystem on the platform. Somebody like Subhash, he's trying to bring all his government connections to kind of make it happen. So what I realized over the period, it's not about individual, it's about the community engagement which all the people have brought. Somebody like Girish Pagare, he's about to retire, but he is striving for a city to do something, not in a traditional way, but in a way where it can actually innovatively impact. Now, while doing all the innovations for Kumbha Mela, I think the step forward is let's work together, let's co-innovate in not only with the Nasikar, but also the global innovators who has a passion and who has a commitment for some impact on the society, and let's work together. So I think the next phase would be, no matter what societal problem would be there, if there are people who are committed and passionate about doing something for city, I think let's come forward and do it for Nasik.
Excellent. Thank you. Stay here. And so as Sunil and Sandeep said, this has been a very interesting movement. And we thought we were going to sit here at MIT and work with some folks and see if we can do some collaboration. But as I said, the passion and energy in Nasik was fantastic. So I would like to invite all the core team members, Girish, Subhash, Ashwin, and Sachin, if you can just come up. Please join us here.
Viraj.
And Viraj. And so I really want to thank this team. Of course, not everybody's here, but a large fraction is here. So I want to congratulate them for being a great collaborator of MIT and MIT Media Lab for Kumbhathon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. He wants to do a cheer.
We are on.
We are on.
Kumbhathon.
Kumbhathon. Great. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ramesh.
So that takes us to the next phase of where we want to think about this. And we talk about data, we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about new populations. At MIT Media Lab, we're thinking about the emerging worlds that are the intersection of emerging technologies and emerging communities. And Kent Larson, who's a faculty member here, said for a sandbox to be really successful, it needs to have many elements. We need committed leadership that you just heard about, important problems that Kumbhathon provided, local liaisons, access to data, working with industry, and also a way to work with MIT. And all these things came together very quickly in Nasik. And we hope there'll be many centers across the world and that we'll be announcing over the next coming weeks that MIT Media Lab will be able to establish for emerging worlds. And in the 80s and before, when folks talked about emerging worlds, they talked about how do we save lives, how do we provide vaccines, how do we provide mosquito nets. But the conversation changed over the last 10 or 15 years, where a lot of these emerging worlds started being treated as emerging markets and simply flooding these emerging markets with products that are made somewhere else. And now I think we're in a third phase where it's not about saving lives or it's not about exploiting these places as markets, but treating emerging worlds as true partners in co-innovation. And so MIT Media Lab and MIT are very excited to see how in this third phase we can work together. And the model also 30 years was, how can we invent things in the developed world and throw it over the wall